Nebraska, Purdue, Wisconsin have all gone through coaching changes, which means they've all hired new coordinators. Which of the new set of coordinators are the best hires? Let's dive in. But before we do, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Big Ten football content every single day. Always mash that like button to spread the word of Big Ten Ted to the masses. I'm going to start with the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Man, have they been doing business since Matt Rhule has stepped foot into Lincoln, Nebraska, and many other towns across the great state of Nebraska. I'm going to start with Marcus Satterfield, the other Satterfield right now. Look, he's coming off a pretty good season as offensive coordinator at South Carolina. When people right now hear the name of Marcus Satterfield, they think, oh, that's the guy that led the offense that put up, 60-some on Tennessee, of that South Carolina upset of Tennessee. And that tells you, whoa, this guy can coordinate an offense that can put up points. Now, the good thing about Marcus Satterfield in the situation that he's going to be in, he's got connections that have gone back a few years with Matt Rhule. So they're going to be on the same page. They're going to be able to finish each other's sentences, that kind of thing. That is such a big deal. A lot of times when you get these types of coaching changes, you get a guy that maybe you haven't worked with before. You get a guy that you've seen from afar, and you nab him to coordinate your offense or your defense. To have that chemistry is big between Matt Rhule and Marcus Satterfield. And I think he's done a good job, right? When you go back to his days at Temple, this was a guy, when he was coordinating Matt Rhule's offense at Temple, this was a guy that quickly turned around, and he was a big part of that Temple Owls turnaround that Matt Rhule was able to be the head coach for. So I think it's a solid hire as offensive coordinator. He's kind of jumped around a little bit to see, but I think he's good. I think he's a solid hire on offense. I look at on defense, Tony White coming over from Syracuse to the Nebraska Cornhuskers. He guided the Orange to a top 30 defense rankings in 2021 and 22. The Orange also ranked in the top 10 in defensive touchdowns 2 times during his 3 years as defensive coordinator. Like we just talked about on the channel, Manny Diaz, an attacking, aggressive defensive coordinator at Penn State, turned out pretty well for the Nittany Lions this season. I think you could see the same thing from Tony White as the defensive coordinator at Nebraska. Look, you look at On3, you look at 24/7 Sports, you look at these recruiting pages and the guys and the personnel that Nebraska has brought in and is going to want to bring in the future. They're bringing in 6'2" to 6'4", 240, 250 pound edge rushers. This is a defense that wants to be aggressive and that wants to get after the quarterback and wants to create havoc. I think Tony White is going to be able to do that. Look, I think both of these guys together are good. I don't necessarily think they're great. We'll get to that. I'm going to now jump to the Purdue Boilermakers. Okay, when you look at Purdue, when they hired Ryan Walters as the head coach of the Boilermakers, the first thought that popped in my mind is the most important hire is going to be the offensive coordinator. Because Ryan Walters is going to spend a lot of time on the defensive side of the ball, and whoever he brings in on defense, he's going to work together with that person to formulate a really good defense like he built at the University of Illinois. So the offensive coordinator that was hired was Graham Harrell. I respect this guy a lot, and I think he fits into what Purdue wants to do. This is an offense that historically has been at its best when it's throwing the football. I mean, look what happened in the bowl game when, they had a running quarterback. It didn't really turn out too well, did it? No, it didn't. They weren't feeling the cheesiest. Let's just say that. I think Graham Harrell fits in pretty well. He took over a North Texas offense in 2016. It was bottom 25 in passing offense in the country. And just like that, he turned it into a top 25 passing offense in 2017 and 2018. Went to USC, West Virginia. They were putting up some points. So I think that this is another good hire. Like, great. I want to save my greats for when it's really great. I just think it's a good hire and it fits in to what Purdue wants to do. Kevin Kane coming over. He was he was a position coach for Illinois. Kind of was the right-hand man for Ryan Walters in turning that Illinois defense into one of the Big Ten's best defenses with a lot of NFL talent on that defense. Look, as we said before, Ryan Walters was going to be working with whoever the defensive coordinator was going to be. He's bringing a lot of people over from Champaign, Illinois. I think this is another thumbs up. Let's see, kind of how this develops, because I think the defense is going to be shaped in Ryan Walters' image, but having Ryan Walters and Kevin Kane coming over, the two guys that were the main two guys of building that Illinois defense, yeah, that can't hurt. I saved the best for last, man. Let's get hyped. If you are a Wisconsin Badger fan, you ride in the hype train right now, right down Regent Street to Camp Randall Stadium. Phil Longo coming over as the offensive coordinator. He's coming over from the University of North Carolina. Drake May, was the quarterback there. They were putting him some big-time numbers, air raid. You look at the offensive production of the North Carolina Tar Heels the last couple of years since Phil Longo has been the offensive coordinator in Chapel Hill. That's a big double thumbs up, because he's been putting up points, he's been putting up numbers, and he's been developing quarterbacks, and it's just good. Look, you take a look at what Wisconsin has been offensively for a few years. Look, they've never been a high-flying offense. The closest they've been to a high-flying offense was the 1 year that Russell Wilson was there. Even then, they had a pretty good complement in the running game that season in the early 2000s. But they're going all in, baby. They are going all in and just completely tearing this offense down and building it back up in their own vision. I love the hire of Phil Longo. Pairing him with SMU transfer Tanner Mordecai, that's going to be scary. I think that's really going to take Tanner's development to a completely new level in Madison, Wisconsin. Mike Tressel is the defensive coordinator from Cincinnati. Look, Cincinnati was a really good defense, a 3-3-5 type of scheme. Mike Tressel and Luke Fickell, right? Those were the guys, kind of like Ryan Walters and what he's going to do with Kevin Kane. I think those two guys, just like they did at Cincinnati, they're going to work together to make that Wisconsin defense a really good defense. And when you take a look at what made that Cincinnati defense good, it was the secondary. Like you look at Sauce Gardner and what he's doing in the National Football League right now. That was a strength for the Cincinnati Wildcats. I'm going to quick talk about an assistant coach, Colin Hitchler. I hope that pronounced that right. He was the co-defensive coordinator and safeties coach at Cincinnati. On3 touted him as one of the top rising assistants in 2022. Look, as I said before, secondary, a strength of the Cincinnati Bearcats is going to continue to be a strength. You got to think switching over to the Wisconsin Badgers. Look, when you bring a lot of your assistants over from Cincinnati, a group of 5 team that made the college football playoff, things are going to go well. And then you look what you have coming in on the offensive side of the ball. I think Wisconsin absolutely nailed it. I think their head coaching hire was the best of the 3. I think their coordinators and their coaching staff are the best of the 3. I want to hear your thoughts. Who do you think is the best new coaching staff coming into the Big Ten Conference in 2023? Leave your thoughts in the comments below on that. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm Big Ten Ted. We will see you in the next one.